In the last session, we were discussing about the cell, and we have come across the functions of cell and the shape of cell, and how we can differentiate the prokaryotes and eukaryotes, and what is unicellular and multicellular cells, and the shapes of cell, and what is the fascinating feature of cell, that is regeneration. So we have come across all those things in the last session, and also we saw the position or exact how the cell looks in a fresh material. By taking a fresh material, we also peeled off some group of cells, and we also saw those cells in the compound microscope. So today we are going to study the classification of living organisms. Yes, no doubt we have number of species in the world. We have a number of instance of billion trillions of species on the earth. The earth is teeming with life. So this earth, it has right from the microorganism to the macroorganism, right from the unicellular to multicellular, we have number of species. Right. So how to differentiate these living organisms, how to differentiate these living things, so that we can study based on the we can see, or we can study how they actually function. Right. So to understand that, actually to know what is the classification of living organisms, to understand that better, we have some groups in sense of we have 5 kingdoms. Right. The 5 kingdom, it is classified based on the different criteria of living organism. The living organism, no doubt, it has tremendous, or it has various function. It plays a number of function, and it lives in different habitat based on that, and based on different function. W.H. Whitaker in 1959, he classified the living organism. He classified into 5 kingdoms. The first kingdom is kingdom Monera, and the second kingdom is kingdom Protista, third kingdom is kingdom Fungi, and fourth is Plantae, and fifth is Animalia. Right. So these 5 kingdoms, why I have selected this topic today? Because I am going to show you the living organism. You might have seen the organisms in the books or in the videos and all, but today I am going to show you how they actually move in the water, or wherever there will be, but I have taken one sample, the pond water I have taken. In that sample, I am going to show you how the living organism they'll move in the habitat. So only to show you, I have selected this topic today. So as I told you, we have 5 kingdoms. The first is kingdom Monera, and then second one is kingdom Protista, third is Fungi, and the fourth is Plantae, fifth one is Animalia. If I write like this, maybe you won't understand what is Monera, or what is Protista, or what is Fungi. Fungi, you know, a little extent you have studied little extent about the fungi in your lower classes, but here you are going to study a deep description of fungi, how they function, how they reproduce, and how they live. So all those things, and structure of fungi also you are going to study in this class, or in this first PUC. But in this class we are going to give only the examples, and we are observing the living organisms. So now I am going to write the examples of these kingdoms. For the Monera, it includes bacteria and blue-green algae. And for the Protista, kingdom Protista, it includes the organisms, living organisms like protozoa and fungi and algae. So here I have mentioned the fungi. Fungi in sense only the unicellular fungi we are going to study in the kingdom Protista. But here in the kingdom fungi, the higher fungi, about the higher fungi we are studying in the kingdom fungi. And in the kingdom Plantae, the name itself saying studying about the plants, and in the kingdom Animalia studying about the animals. So we have the examples. Maybe like it covered all the living organisms right from the unicellular to the multicellular. No doubt in the kingdom Animalia human beings also included. So only few of the living organisms I am going to show you under a microscope, compound microscope. Alright. So kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia, they are interconnected with one another. Their mode of nutrition, how they eat, what they consume, what is the food of the different organisms, they are dependent with one another. For example, the plants. The plant, they are the only the organism which produces the food. They are known as autotrophs. Not only plants, here algae and blue-green algae and some of the fungi, they consume, or sorry, they synthesizes their own food. But except these plants and a few of the bacteria and the algae and fungi, all the organisms, all the living organisms, micro or macro organisms, dependent to one another. That is the mode of nutrition, or it is the interconnected, interlink between the organisms. So that is also there in your subject. In second PUC, you are going to study how the organisms are connected with one another. But here, if we observe deeply, it included unicellular, it comes under multicellular, and the plants have a true cell wall. Cell wall in sense they are made up of middle lamella and primary lamella and secondary wall, secondary lamella. But animals are made of the cells of animals are without cell wall. Only the plasma membrane is covered in the animal's cell. So plants are autotrophs, animals are heterotrophs. And here fungi, in the fungi, as I told you, the mode of nutrition, it is here we can differentiate different mode of nutrition. But in the fungi, these fungi adopted themselves, a different form of different species of fungi adopted themselves for the mode of nutrition. Like here we are going to study few of the fungi are saprophytes, decomposers and autotrophs and heterotrophs and parasites, a disease causing fungi, and they form number of long, thin, slender like structure known as hyphae. By forming that hyphae, by producing that hyphae, they grow very fast, rapidly. Okay, so these fungi, the characteristic feature of fungi is very interesting because we are going to study a different form of fungi in the kingdom fungi, and if we start studying the kingdom protista, it includes protozoa as I have written on the board, protozoa, fungi and algae. Here I would like to mention the protozoans. Maximum of the protozoans are disease causing, harmful, like the amoeba. If you are consuming, if you are without knowing, if you are consuming the amoeba microorganism, you will be suffering from the disease known as amoebiasis. So like that kind of diseases will be we will be suffering from those kind of diseases if we consume the protozoans. I am not mentioning all the protozoans, few of the protozoans are disease causing. And coming to the bacteria, so here I should mention this, the algae, they are the autotrophs. Here in this algae, we are going to study the unicellular, right from the unicellular algae to the multicellular form. All those organisms coming under algae. And one thing we have to mention here, the algae, these are a very beautiful form of living organism. And being the algae, if the algae is present in any habitat, that will be a food for many of the living organisms, many of the species. I am going to show you in video how the living organism it is going to consume, or it is consuming, or it is eating the algae. Alright, so here coming to the bacteria basically in the kingdom Monera, bacteria, it is classified into two types. One is archaea and then eubacteria. Archaebacteria, it is also known as ancient bacteria. It is available in the deep sea water. In the deep oceans, the archaebacteria are present not only, and that is the habitat of archaebacteria. The archaebacteria, they are also known, if we start classifying the archaebacteria, methanogens are also the type of archaebacteria found in the rumen of the cattle. So everywhere in different habitat, archaebacteria are present. And one more classification of bacteria is eubacteria, a new form of bacteria. Those bacteria are used. Actually, the bacteria, eubacteria, it has been classified into like if it is useful or harmful. If we start studying the useful bacteria, the bacteria are useful for the production of alcohol or medicines, or in different industries the bacteria has been used. But the harmful bacteria, disease causing bacteria, if the bacteria start infecting to any organism, that leads to a serious ill. And the blue green algae, that is also a beautiful blue green algae having a different color of algae. So those are all the examples of 5 kingdom. Okay, so Plantae and Animalia. So I would like to tell the 3 more a very vast classification which comes under kingdom Plantae, that is Angiosperm, Gymnosperm and Pteridophyta and Bryophyta. Actually 4 I should tell. So the 4 big very vast classification of kingdom Plantae we are going to study in this. We have a number of plants on the earth. Some of them produces flower, but some of them do not. Why so? What is the reason for that? Where we are classifying the flowering plants and where we are classifying the non-flowering plants. Maybe in the next sessions I am going to describe about that concept. And also we have a different species of animals. And one more thing I should tell here, not all the plants are photosynthesis material. Some of them are also known as host or host plant, like some of the plants, some of the climber, they are dependent for their nutrition to other plant. Not all plants are going to synthesize the food by utilizing the sunlight. Like that, if we come to the Animalia or kingdom animal, here all the animals are included. Yes, we know we have number of species of animals. We cannot study or we cannot put all the animals into one group. We have number of classification based on their having the the habitat or how they feed on other organism, or based on having their mammary glands, or based on the presence of placenta, or based on all these, animals also classified into different types. So maybe in the next or after that session I am going to pick this kingdom Animalia to tell a different form of animals. Now, as I told you, I am going to show you the living organism under microscope. So for that I have selected or I have collected a nearer, like a pond water. So this is the pond water what I have collected from nearer pond. And what I am going to do with this sample, I am taking a drop of water, I am going to put it on the slide and placing the cover slip. I am going to observe under microscope. There I am directly going to show you how the living organisms will be moving around, will be moving in the slide. So what is microorganism? Microorganisms are a simple form of single cellular organisms. They are visible only under microscope, and it was discovered by searching or observing the organisms, microorganisms in the pond water. That was first mentioned by a Dutch naturalist. He found out some different samples and he started searching different microorganisms. All those microorganisms are coming under this group. Some of them belongs to protozoans, some of them belongs to bacteria, some of them blue-green algae, or some of them algae, but you are not going to find any fungi. One animal I am going to show you in the in the sample. So like that he started searching different microorganisms. Without knowing, without our knowledge, if we consume or if we drink this contaminated water, we will be suffering from sore throat or some diarrhea kind of diseases. So better take care of yourself. And one more thing to tell, these microorganisms or the pond water are live in the pond water. As I told you, it was first observed by Dutch naturalist. Right. Later on, number of scientists came and they start researching on the microorganisms. Some of them started searching how they causes diseases. Some of them started searching how they reproduces, how they multiply its number. So we have number of fields to study, but here after all this, based on today's concept, we have a question which came in the previous NEET exam, and that is, which of the following are likely to be present in deep sea water? So which organisms are present in deep sea water? I guess I mentioned in the today's session. So the options are blue-green algae, saprophytic fungi, archaebacteria and eubacteria. So the answer is archaebacteria. So the archaebacteria, so this is the only one organism available in deep sea water. Right, so that question is, it came in the past or in the previous NEET exam. So the concepts are very simple. If you start learning in a very concentrate manner, you'll have a better knowledge of all these things. Okay, so in the next part I'm going to show you the microorganisms. Okay. Yes, you can see the amoeba. It has irregular shape, and you can see the pseudopodia of the amoeba. And the next is paramecium. The paramecium, it is moving from one place to other place. This is the dark version of paramecium, and see how beautifully it is moving. And by means of cilia, it is moving from one place to other place. And this is the stentor. At the anterior region, it got cilia, and by means of cilia, it is moving from one place to other place. And this is the verticella. The verticella, it got water current. Through that, it can capture its food. And this is the Dileptus. It got a flagella, a whip-shaped flagella, a whip-like flagella. And Daphnia, at the anterior region, it has the cilia. Through that, it moves from one place to other place. And you can see the planaria. And this is the hydra. Okay, thank you.